Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go through the 45 series that I am somewhat in the process of reading. So I did break this out into 3 different categories to kind of talk about books in where I am, I guess, in the reading stages of them. But there are 45 series here, and it is a lot, I know, and we're not even going to talk about the 17 series that I have like the first book in at least, that I haven't even started yet. So that will be for another time. Maybe at the end of the year I'll go through. But I started the year with 41 series, duologies, anything that has like a secondary book that is connected. I'm in the middle of 41 series at the beginning of 2025. I have since finished one, but then also started 5 more. So I'm doing this based on where I am of the day that this video will release. So I'm filming this just a few days before, so I know where I am. But that's a lot. There's some that I can't do anything about right now, and that's why I broke them out into 3 different categories. So first we're going to start with, what do I want to start with? We'll start with the 10 series that I do not know when the next book is coming out, but I do know or believe there will be another book in the series, but I am caught up as of now. The first is the Crescent City series. So I think at first this was just supposed to be a trilogy, but I swear I've seen somewhere that she said she is going to put a 4th book out, and it would make sense for her to do that just because there are 4 houses of Midgard, and she did House of Earth and Blood, House of Sky and Breath, and House of Flame and Shadow, but she has not done House of Many Waters yet. And based on how House of Flame and Shadow ended, I feel like she could go into that. It will just follow different main characters. So I am hoping that there's a 4th one, just because like it will bother me if there's not, because I will feel like it's incomplete. But no idea when we're getting it. And I'm still not 100% sure we are, but I am pretty sure I've seen her announce that we're going to have another one. Sticking with the same author, we have no idea when we're getting the next ACOTAR book. She is writing it. There is no release date. So full book 5, we don't know, but it'll be, like there's that Frost and Starlight book, but the full actual 5th book, no idea when we're getting it, no idea who it's about, but we're waiting, and it's coming. The Lightlark series by Alex Astor, this is now going to be 5 books. I guess it was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but she did announce recently that it will be 5. And after the way Skyshade ended, there's clearly at least going to be 1 more. And I think we're supposed to get them both in 2025. But I haven't heard anything about when the next one's coming out. I obviously know what it'll follow because I read Skyshade, but I don't know when we're going to see it. I also have the This Woven Kingdom series by Tahereh Mafi. There are currently 3 books out in this right now, but it is not complete. I do not know how many books it's going to be. I do not know when the next book is coming out. But I've been really enjoying this series. I actually like it more than the Shatter Me series. So hoping that the next one comes out soon, because other than the new Shatter Me series, which I'm probably not going to read because I'm not that interested in following the character that it's going to follow, she hasn't released anything since last February. The last book she released was These Infinite Threads. Nope, that's the 2nd book. All This Twisted Glory, which is the 3rd book in this, and that came out I think last February. So I would really like another one of these before I forget what the heck happened in these books. Another one that I've been talking about a lot is the Hurricane War series by Thea Guanzon. I think this is at least going to be a trilogy, but again, no idea when the next book's coming out. A Monsoon Rising, loved that book more than this one. That just came out in like November, so actually it might have been the beginning of December. It just came out at the end of the year, so I'm caught up, but now I have to wait for the next book to come out, and I am very excited because I am really appreciating the series. It is an enemies to lovers Reylo fanfic kind of situation. It's got a little bit of like that Star Wars-esque part of a fantasy. There are definitely sprinklings of that in here, and I really enjoy that as a Star Wars fan. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It is true enemies to lovers. They do hate each other, and the families are working against each other. And they kind of both know it, but at the same time, like, there's still the what if kind of situation. So looking forward to the next book in the series. The House of Marion is another series that I have no idea when we're getting the next book. JL is the author. We got Shadows of Pearl this past year, and based on how that ended, I don't think we're done. I thought I saw somebody do a video talking about Shadows of Pearl and saying that was the last book, but I don't think they had read it yet, and I mean, if that's how she's gonna end the series, I'm gonna be real mad, because it did not end. But this is kind of like a dark academia fantasy situation where this girl has been estranged from her family for years. Her and her mother have been kind of like avoiding being around her grandmother because of like magical ties and stuff, and the type of magic that she has. is not good magic, and so they've kind of had to hide. And then something ends up happening, and she ends up being at the house that her grandmother runs in this like whole academic setting. And from there, like all of these secrets about the houses and what's going on in the magical world start to unfold. And there's like this underbelly where there's like, they call them dragons with like Guns. And they're like almost like magical bounty hunter kind of situation for these people that use the bad magic. But then they also use the bad magic, so I don't really know how that works. But really have enjoyed both of these books, and I will continue it whenever the next one comes out, and I hope there is another one. The Alex Stern series by Leigh Bardugo. So this is Ninth House and Hellbent, and there is supposed to be a third one. If you go on her website, it is the Alex Stern trilogy. Do I know when that third book's coming? No. And the second book did kind of end where the story could continue. So I do think that she left it open, and she is calling it a trilogy. So I'm hoping that we eventually get that third book, because I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is another dark academia fantasy. Takes place at Yale, and basically she's a gatekeeper for the societies there when they do like occult rituals and stuff. But then something happens with her mentor, and there's a whole other side story that goes on with that, and like he gets disappeared somewhere and they have to try to get him back, and everybody really just thinks he's dead, but she doesn't. So the whole first book was kind of setting that up and you understanding the world, and then the second book was more of them trying to figure out if he's still alive and how they can get him back. So a little bit of a love story, very Leigh Bardugo coded, because she usually has a love story in her books, but it's not the primary plot, but it's there. So really looking forward to this third book whenever we get it. Another series that I'm eager to continue, because the Daisy Hates books are the ones that have not come out yet. So the Magnolia Parks of the Magnolia Parks universe storyline has ended. Her and BJ's story is complete, but I believe we're supposed to get 2 more Daisy Hates books, and I have not seen a release date yet. If I'm wrong about any of these, like if you've seen a release date on any of these series that I don't know about, please let me know so that I can update my spreadsheet. But I have enjoyed the Daisy Hates books more than the Magnolia Parks books, and the way that the story with them left off, I am like chomping at the bit to get to the next one. So I hope Jessa releases that sometime soon. I'm trying not to talk too much about all of these series because there's 45 to talk about, and we'll be here all night if I do. Another series that I do not think is done yet, and I recently actually saw, I think Larry Reed's even posted that like Claiming 10 is supposed to be the next book, which makes me mad that we're not getting another 7 book right now, or if ever, I don't know, but I have not actually seen any source write that down. Like, I've not seen it on her website, I have not seen Amazon release it, and Goodreads is even kind of like not sure what's going on. So until I see solid proof, this is kind of an up in the air series. I don't think it's done, and I don't know what the next book's going to be for sure, but I did see something like yesterday that Claiming 10 may be the next one. I think it was called that. It's something 10. But Boys of Tommen series, rugby players in Cork, Ireland. There's a lot of trauma that these characters deal with, so it is more like character-based stories than just like a romance with a plot. And I have thoroughly enjoyed every single one of them. The Saving and Redeeming 6 were my 2 favorite. But I did love the Binding 13 and Keeping 13 as well. Taming 7, I love those characters, but I felt cheated with their book. I'm not saying it was a bad book. I still enjoyed it. I just felt a little cheated with their story. And the final series that I don't know when the next book's coming out, but is supposed to be a trilogy, is one that I just started this year. And that is the Immortal Dark Trilogy by Tages Girma. And this is a vampire dark academia setting. And the world is like not complex, but still very unique in the way that like how vampires can interact with society and the whole family situations with like who they're allowed to interact with and all that. It's very fascinating, and I just put this in a vlog, a vampire vlog, so if you really want to know more about that, this will be in there. Or this was in there because that video is already out. But thoroughly enjoyed this, very much looking forward to seeing where this continues, because it did leave off on a little bit of a shocking moment. Nothing crazy, but the story's going to be very interesting, I think, at the beginning of the next one. All right, so series that have books that are coming out that I don't have yet, but I do have a date of when the book is coming out. The Crowns of Nyaxia series, which I just recently read Songbird and the Heart of Stone in that vampire vlog as well. The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk is coming out on August 5th of this year, so I will definitely be continuing that, because holy crap how the Songbird and the Heart of Stone ended. Girl, that was not cool. So will be picking that one up much quicker than I got to The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. I kind of put that one off, but it was the beginning of a different duet, so I didn't feel like the story, I wasn't itching to get to the story. Now that it started, and that was a little bit of a cliffhanger, I'm going to pick that up probably in August. The one everybody is waiting for, and the one that the next book comes out 2 days from the day that you see this video, if you see it on release day, and I am taking the day off of work to read it. I've already decided that. I've already taken the day off because I will be useless at work until I can read Onyx Storm. So this comes out January 21st. This is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. Pretty much everybody in the world knows about these books, even if you're not part of the book community, you've heard of this book. It is dragon riders, there's a war going on, there's like bad magic wielders versus the good people and a corrupt government. Basic fantasy. So cannot wait to see where the story goes. I just keep seeing so many like theories and everything, and I just laugh because I know a lot of the people that read these books are also Taylor Swift fans, and I want to be like, guys, you've been clowning for Reputation for like a year now, and you really think Rebecca Yarros is going to give you any more clues than Taylor has been giving you? No. Just let it happen, let the book happen, and just have some hope that eventually it will end out. I'm very worried about Onyx Storm. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but because we still have 2 more books after that. So, but she still has time to fix whatever explodes in Onyx Storm. Very excited for it though. Another book I'm very excited for is the next book in Cassandra Clare's Chronicles of Castelline series, I believe it's called. It's not on here. Yep, Chronicles of Castelline, I don't know how you say it. This was Swordcatcher. The next book is The Ragpicker King. I have tried to explain this book before. It is complex. It is her first adult romance. The world is a little difficult to explain, and the situation is a little complex, but it is very fascinating. I love Cassandra Clare's writing. For it being an adult debut, it still wasn't like overly spicy or anything, but basically we have a king and his sword catcher who is his body double, essentially, when there's a situation that he is potentially, the prince would be in danger to go into. The sword catcher goes instead, and then there's this group of people in this kingdom that live separate that wield magic, and the kingdom kind of keeps them segregated until they need them. It's a little bit of a servant situation, but we have our king and we have our prince and our sword catcher, and then we have our female main character who is one of it's like, they're called like the Ashkars, and she ends up getting entwined with the prince, and because she has to help him in one situation where he gets like, it was either him or, I think it was, yeah, the prince himself actually got injured, so she had to, I think it was, either the prince or the sword catcher. I need to really go back and do a little bit of a refresh on this, because this book came out in October of 2023, and that's when I read it. And we're coming in May, I think. I think this is coming out in May. I think. It's coming out in the spring. It's coming out before May or in May. So it'll be like a year and a half between when I actually read it, the first one, this, and then the next one comes out. So I'm going to have to like look up a little bit of a synopsis. But I love Cassandra Clare. I will buy anything this woman writes, and I'm looking forward to the next book in this series. Another one that I just recently read the second one in, which was like almost a novella more so than a book, was This Veiled Kingdom series by Holly Renee. Now the next book comes out is The Rivaled Crown in March 18th, and I do plan on reading that because The Hunted Heir did end on a cliffhanger, but like I said, that book wasn't really what I would consider a novel. I would consider it a novella story in between the first and second book, so like a 1.5 almost, but it set up the third part, or like what will be the third book, The Rivaled Crown. That story needed to happen in order for us to get to where we're going to be at the beginning of the next book. So the second one was not my favorite. I thoroughly enjoyed The Veiled Kingdom. So The Hunted Heir was a little bit of a letdown, but I think that she can definitely pull the story back with The Rivaled Crown. So looking forward to that one. Next, we have The Saga of the Unfated. The first book was A Fate Inked in Blood. This is by Danielle L. Jensen, and this is a Norse fantasy romance situation, and it's about a girl that basically gets forced to marry this like leader of this clan and ends up falling in love with his son. That's basically what happens, and does not want to be with them because she doesn't agree with what they're doing. They're trying to use her power. She has this like special power. They're trying to use it in ways that she doesn't want to use it. So Freya, who is our main character, is like trying to get out of this situation, but she's also falling in love with the son. And the son's kind of battling back and forth, like, does he want to side with her or does he want to side with his father? So basic synopsis, that's what it is. A Curse Carved in Bone is the next book, and it comes out May 13th. Again, I'm trying to move through these as quickly as I can because there's 20,000 of them to talk about. The next one is the Lakefront Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. The third book comes out in also May 13th, ironically, and it is called Love Arranged. And these are just interconnected standalones that take place in Lake Wisteria, and they're billionaire romances. The next one I think is going to be like a Marriage of Convenience, if I'm correct. I don't remember. This is not the second book, so it's not going to tell me this one. But I really enjoyed the first one. I loved Love Redesigned. Love Unwritten was okay. I felt like it was a little bit too long. Like, Lauren Asher writes some thick romances. This one didn't bother me being that big, but I just felt like Love Unwritten was a little bit too long for what the story was. And that was this is like childhood friends to lovers, and then Love Unwritten was nanny dad, single dad trope. So I think the third one is like an arranged marriage situation or like Marriage of Convenience. So we'll see. Love Lauren Asher's books. I think this might be there might be just one more. I'm not 100% sure though. Next we have the Windy City series by Liz Tom-Ford. There will be 5 total books. Once I read the next one, I believe it's done. I think there's only going to be 5. And the 5th one will be Rio's book, and it's called Rewind It Back. And it comes out April 24th. So I will be picking that up as soon as possible because I love Rio. Even if I don't get the book physically right away, I will just gonna read it on Kindle Unlimited because these are all on Kindle Unlimited. But these are sports romances. The first one is hockey. The second one is basketball. The third and fourth one are both baseball. And then the 5th one will also be hockey. So all interconnected. The first one and the 5th one, obviously they're teammates. The first one and the second one are related because FMC in the first one and the second one are like they co-workers, and then the FMC in the first one and the MMC in the second one are brother and sister. And then the rest of the situation, the third book goes into just them being friends because they live in the same building, and then the third one and the fourth one, they're brothers. So all interconnected so that you do see all of the characters within all of these books, but still individual storylines. And also all very different types of like situations on how they got together. The next series is Assistant to the Villain. This so far is a trilogy. I thought it was only going to be a trilogy, but I was told recently there may be a 4th book. I don't know. The third one, Accomplice to the Villain, comes out in September. I don't know the exact date. I don't have it written down, but I do think that she has announced it because she showed the cover for the first time recently as well. And this is just a fun time. It's like a lighthearted fantasy rom-com situation that's like fantasy meets The Office. And that's all I really needed to know to go into it. So I think that's all anybody really needs to know to go into it. If you like The Office, if you like a kind of lower stakes fantasy where things are a little bit more lighthearted, but not necessarily a cozy fantasy, try this. Next is the Powerless trilogy. I don't have the first book. I'm trying to get my sister to read the series so she actually has it, but this is book 2, Reckless. Book 3, Fearless, comes out in April 8th. I already have it pre-ordered. I will be reading that. This is also enemies to lovers, love triangle situation. You have your elites and your non-elites, essentially, and our main female love interest is the non-elite, and then she's kind of entwined with the prince and the spare, essentially. So I love it. It's like, I don't take it too seriously. Like, I'm not looking for perfect storylines, perfect writing. It does mirror Red Queen quite a bit, but I go off vibes. 2025 is the year of vibes for me. I'm not looking at how somebody writes a book. I'm looking at how it makes me feel. That series will be complete once I read that third book. The next one I also don't have the books for because my sister is borrowing them, is the Ruinous Love trilogy. This will also be complete once the third book comes out. The next book comes out at the beginning of February 4th, and that is Scythe and Sparrow. And that is Fionn and Rose's story, and I have wanted that one since the first book. So I'm very excited for that. I think it's going to be a hell of a time because I love Rose, and Fionn I feel like I'm going to love him the most out of all of the brothers as well. But that is like a dark romance. It's like dark rom-com because I think it's supposed to be like intentionally funny, but it also is what I would call closer to a dark romance in the themes that we see in it and some of the triggers and stuff like that. But it's definitely a lighter-hearted dark romance. One of my most anticipated reads of 2025 is Rebel Witch, which is the second and final book in the Heartless Hunter duology, the Crimson Moth duology, and it comes out in February as well, February 18th. And I'm hoping that Book of the Month puts it into the box for next month so that I can get it early in the month, but we'll see. But I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I've seen a few people read the arc and they said it's even better than this one, so I'm chomping at the bit to get this book. And we'll probably be reading it as soon as it's in my hands. So look for that sometime in February. But this is a witch hunter enemies to lovers romance, and it is YA, so it's not overly spicy. I know a lot of people think it should be more new adult, and I could see that, but I still really didn't think there was any over the top spice in this. There's like one scene and it's not even descriptive. So low spice, great enemies to lovers, and great storyline. Next up is the Grandest Games trilogy. The second book, Glorious Rivals, I believe it's called. I'm yapping too much, my battery died. The second book comes out July 29th, and this is a spin-off from the Inheritance game series. So this follows different characters, but is still set in that world, and the Hawthorne family and Avery are both still very much involved in these. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I know some people didn't, but I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. I love the puzzles and the like mysteries that she writes, and this is what it was. So definitely still had the Inheritance games vibes to it. You're just following different characters. So I can understand maybe not connecting with those characters, but I like the Grayson that we're getting in these books. So I'm hoping that that continues because he is probably the one we see the most out of the Hawthorns in this book. Next we have the Moonfall series. I debated whether or not to include this one because I don't know that I'm going to continue it. I'm going to try reading this book again before the next one comes out in October, The Ballad of Falling Dragons. I don't know that I gave this a fair shot. I didn't hate this book. It definitely got better in the second half, but I have some gripes about the first half of it, and I've talked about it before. I'm not going to get into that again. But it's also a massive book, and I read it on my Kindle because of that. So, may continue this one, maybe not. I have no idea how many books it's going to be, but the next one comes out in October. Another one that will be complete in just a few short weeks is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This will be a trilogy, and the Compendium of Lost Tales comes out on February 11th, and I did pre-order that, so I will have it next month. I won't be like immediately jumping on it like I will be with Rebel Witch, but I do want to read that book probably in the spring. So, may add it to my spring TBR. We shall see. I don't know that I'm going to do that though, because it's on my 25 and 25, so looking forward to this cozy fantasy about a professor that is writing an encyclopedia about fairies for the universe. I mean, she's writing it to publish it, but she's a human and her coworker is Fae, and there's a little bit of a love interest there too, but it is definitely cozy fantasy. Then I have the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. This is like a single dad romance series. We're following this group of guys who are all single dads in this town. What is the town called? Oh, Rose Hill, duh. And we had this interconnected a little bit with Chestnut Springs because Ford is our first love interest in Wild Love, and that is Willa's brother, but it kind of spins off from there. I have enjoyed these. I don't typically like single dad, but I have really enjoyed the first and second one. I'm not sure. I feel like I liked the second one more. I'm not sure if I rated them that way, but I'm pretty sure that the second story, in my mind, I like more. But they're a good time. Elsie Silver writes a beautiful romance, and I enjoy them. So the next one comes out March 4th, and that is called Wildside. Another one is the Fae and Alchemy series, I believe it's called, and that is Quicksilver. And I do not know what the next book is called. It's just Fae and Alchemy #2 right now, and I think it's coming out in October, ? Because that's when the book is set to release, but there's no title, there's no cover. I have pre-ordered the deluxe special edition of Quicksilver that's supposed to come out in August or September, because I don't like the cover right now, and I'm hoping that there's at least an alternate like dust jacket cover, or I can buy an alternate dust jacket since it will be a hardback book. I could buy it from somebody else that sells it, because I do not like the cover. Like, no hate, but I don't. So this is another fantasy romance, very interesting storyline, Fae and human situation, and Quicksilver is like a type of liquid metal that allows them to like portal, essentially. So that is where the title comes from. And really enjoyed it, really enjoyed it, and I'm waiting for the second one on pins and needles. Another one that will be complete once I get the third one is the Wilmot Sisters series by Chloe Leese. We have Two Wrongs Make a Right, Better Hate Than Never, and then I think it's Once Smitten, Twice Shy. Yes, and that comes out the 28th of January, so very soon. And this is, Chloe Leese writes neurodivergent characters, and this is just a bunch of romances about these three sisters. There's a set of twins and then a younger sister. So the first book was about one of the twins, the second book was about the younger sister, and the third one will be about the other twin. And I have thoroughly enjoyed these romances. They are so well written and so beautiful and so like heart-wrenching, and they're written in the way that I talked about again in previous videos, where it's like an adult situation and the characters handle their faults and their issues as adults, rather than being like, well, I don't love you because you lied to me about this one really insignificant thing. And maybe they weren't even lying. So thoroughly enjoyed this. Looking forward to the final one that comes out in just about 2 weeks. Then we have the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore, and this is just like, I think most people know what these books are right now. We have the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and the Christmas Tree Farm so far. And we will be getting the Strawberry Patch Pancake House on March 13th, as well as the Gingerbread Bakery on September 11th. So looking forward to that. That might be it, I think, based on who she kept for last. That may be the last book. But these are very quick, easy, fluffy romances. There's nothing like super deep in these, but they're just a very good, like, I hate saying palate cleanser, but they're a good like brain break, and they're just a fun time. And if you like Gilmore Girls, you'll probably like these. Again, not like A+ writing skills, but they just make me happy when I read them. I didn't love The Christmas Tree Farm, but the first 2 books were really good. Another book I just read in the Vampire Vlog, which is also one I started this year, is The Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright, and this is the Age of Blood series. No idea. Nope, I do know. August 12th is the second book, and that is Lord of Ruin. And this did end off on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I'm curious to see where it goes, so I do think I'm going to read the next one. Probably won't be like going out of my way to get it immediately, but I am intrigued enough that I do think I want to continue it. I don't know how many books it's going to be, but I'll at least try to read the second one and see where that goes. But this is like, I just read it in the Vampire Vlog, so if you really want to know about it, go watch that vlog. I have been yapping too much, and this is going to be much longer than I wanted. Another one I just read in the Vampire Vlog is A Tempest of Tea. This is going to be a duology. It's the Blood and Tea duology. The second book comes out September 23rd, and it is going to be called A Steeping of Blood. And this is also, again, a vampire fantasy YA series. It's a YA duology, so it's very low spice. Didn't love this first one, but since it's just a duology, and I did like the last, like, 50 pages, like, 30% of the book, I do think I'm going to read the second one, but again, not one I'm going to rush out to get, but I do want to finish this duology. So that will be done, again, once I read it. Another series I'm in the middle of is the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer, and that was Behind the Net, The Fake Out, The Wingman, and then the fourth one will be Gloves Off, and that comes out June 17th, and I don't know who that one's about. Yes, I do. That one is also, that was a shocker at the end of Wingman, and I'm not going to say who it's about or what it's about, because you got to read that book. I'm not going to ruin it. But it is very obvious throughout The Wingman who it's going to be about, and I also think that the little surprise at the end was a little obvious, because I did guess that, but it's still a little bit of a nice shock there, so that will be the next one, and I don't know if there's going to be any more. I have a feeling she may write at least one more, but we'll see. And then the last one that I'm in the middle of, that the next book is not out yet, is the Webs We Weave series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Dishonestly Yours is the first one, and then the second book the second book is Destructively Mine, and that comes out April 29th. And the covers of these books are gorgeous. You will not tell me otherwise. The second one is even more beautiful, I think. The colors are just outstanding. So this is two con families, and then there's like a romance between the son from one and the daughter from another, but there's a lot of like twists and turns and some things that really made me want to chuck this book across the room, but we'll see how it ends. I'm more excited to give the rest of this series a try than the Addicted series, which is probably not a popular opinion, but this one was definitely more, it gripped me more, and I was more entertained by this story than I was by Addicted to You, which is the only one I read in that. We'll talk about that in a second. But no, Addicted to You? Yeah, that was the first one. So looking forward to reading the second book. All right, and now on to the 13 series that I can do something about right now. The first one is the Princes of Sin series by Carrie Maniscalco. There is one other book out in this series. It is Throne of Secrets, and it is about gluttony. These are going to follow, I think, all of the Princes of Sin will get one of these books, but other than Wrath, because he had the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. But there will be maybe 6 of these. No idea when the next one's coming out. The third one's coming out, but I do have Throne of Secrets right here. So hoping to get to that ASAP, because I loved this one. I loved the Kingdom of the Wicked series, so looking forward to reading Gluttony's story. Then I have the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer. I have Renegades, and I've read that, but there is Arch Enemies and Supernova that I still don't own, so I guess I can read them, but I don't physically own them yet, and I don't know that I will. I don't think they're on Kindle Unlimited. If they are, I may just read them there because I don't know that I want those books on my shelf. But I am interested enough to see what the rest of the story is. Another Witch and Witch Hunter series is Serpent and Dove. This is a trilogy. It is a completed trilogy. I have all 3 books. I just have to read the final 2. So we'll be looking forward to doing that. Blood and Honey is the next one, and then Gods and Monsters is the third one. And then I also have The Scarlet Veil, which is the beginning of a duology that follows this. So gotta get through this one first. That's one of the 17 that I have the book that I haven't even started the series yet because I can't. So this is by Shelby Mahurin, and I loved this first book. I'm hoping the story continues to keep me at least entertained since I own the second 2. But another Witch Hunter. Then I have the Waxway series by Scott Rentgen. This is a dark academia thriller fantasy romance situation. It's like all of the genres I love in one book. Again, this was in a vlog at some point. Really enjoyed it. Very unique magic system. There are dragons in this too. And I love me a book with a dragon. So the second one is, I think the second one's out and the third one's coming out soon, but I was waiting for the second one to come out in paperback, and I think it comes out in February in paperback, and the third one comes out in February. So may not be able to finish this series this year based on when that third book comes out in paperback, but I am hoping to continue and get to the second one at some point this year. And that is called A Whisper in the Woods. So yeah, February 4th, so very soon. The second one comes out in paperback, and A Burning in the Bones comes out. So looking forward to that. Another series I would like to finish this year is Belladonna. I've read Belladonna. I own Foxglove, and Wisteria comes out in paperback, I think in June. So this is a romance with death, gothic, fantasy romance. Loved it. Really entertained by it. It is YA, so again, not too spicy. It was probably in a vlog somewhere, so I think I read this in October, so I think it was in one of those vlogs. Very much looking forward to Foxglove, and then Wisteria is going to follow, I think, Blythe, her cousin, a little bit more closely. I don't know. I think that it's still going to follow the same Cigna. I don't know. I don't know who Foxglove's is gonna cover, but I know that Wisteria is her cousin Blythe, so looking forward to those. I think there's going to be a novella for that series coming out in September, October, sometime this year. I don't know that I'm going to count that as part of the series because I don't know that I'm going to read it. And if I do, it'll just be like, I think it's going to be a holiday novella because I think it's called Holly. So in my mind, I'm making that a holiday novella. I may read it, I may not. I don't know. But I'm not counting it as part of the series because it's a novella. I also have Anna Huang's The Kings of Sin series, and I have read King of Wrath. I own the second one and the fourth one. I need to get the third one, and then the fifth one, King of Envy, comes out March 25th. So I have King of Wrath, King of Pride, and King of Sloth. I need to get King of Greed, which is the third one. Billionaire romances, little, I don't want to say dark, but there's like definitely a mafia vibe to it. Really enjoyed this one more than I thought I would. I am like feeling Anna Huang's writing right now, at least in the like this kind of an aspect. I have some of her other books as well, but very much looking forward to continuing this series in particular. Another romance that I would say is kind of close in vibes with that is the Brutal Birthright series. I have Brutal Prince, have read it. I have Stolen Heir, which is number 2, Savage Lover number 3. I'm missing Bloody Heart, and I also have Broken Vows, I think, and then Heavy Crown is the last one, and I believe it's complete. I would like to finish this year. These books are very short. They're under 300 pages, so this one was a very quick read for me, and I think I'm just gonna save them for like in-betweeners when I just have like a little bit of time and I maybe need like something in between 2 fantasies or a fantasy and a thriller. But they were, I'd say, semi-dark romances. They definitely have mafia vibes. It is about a Irish family and an Italian, this one at least is about an Irish family and an Italian family that are in like the dark underworlds of Chicago. So definitely looking forward to finishing that one out and then possibly going into some more of Sophie Lark's writing. I have Christina Forrest's The Green Sisters series. So the first book was The Neighbor Favor, which I have read. I have The Partner Plot. I have not read it yet. And then The Love Lyric comes out February 4th. There are so many books coming out in February. Insane. But that comes out February 4th. Very much looking forward to that. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Very similar vibes to Chloe Lease, I would say, that series. It's, again, 3 sisters, and each of them is going to get their own book, and I believe it will be done after The Love Lyric, which is the 3rd book. So this one was One of Us is Famous kind of trope, and they met without knowing who the other were, and then ended up being neighbors and rekindling what they had. But he was an author, she was a fan, they were messaging, he ghosted her, and then they ended up being neighbors, and it went from there. Loved that. The second one is a second chance romance with a girl, her sister, and I think her older, she's the youngest. I think it's the middle sister and her high school boyfriend, and they meet in Vegas and get married. I don't know if it's intentional or if they got drunk. I don't know yet. And then the love lyric is again going to be One of Us is Famous. It's her older sister. This will be a second chance just for her sister, not with this guy, but a second chance at love. Her sister is a single mother, and I believe the love interest is going to be a famous singer that we meet in the first book that works with the sister in the second book. Complicated, I know. Another series I just recently started was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Nobody told me that I was going to cry at the beginning of this book, and I'm a little upset about that, but thoroughly enjoying this series so far, hoping it continues the vibes from this one. It is definitely like, I've heard a lot of people say Hunger Games in space, but I think it's more like Hunger Games meets Lord of the Flies in space on Mars. So little rough to get through some of it. It's definitely something you got to pay attention to, and I read it when I was in the right mood for it, I think, and I didn't rush myself through it or push myself through it when I didn't want to read it. So we'll see where the rest of the series goes. And this is complete. So Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star are the first three. And then I know there's Iron Gold and Dark Age, and there may be a sixth book. I don't know. But the original trilogy is what I'm focusing on, and that is Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star. Two Kindle Unlimited series that I'm reading that I think I'm going to continue. I'm going to try to continue them. The first is the Addicted series by Chris and Becca Ritchie. I read Addicted to You. It was okay. I didn't love the topics in it. I don't think you're supposed to love it because they are obviously addicts and everything, but I want to get through their books to get to the other siblings books because I think I'm gonna like those more. So I do plan to maybe try to read Ricochet in February, and I think that's a very short one, so that shouldn't be too bad, and I might make the decision from then on out. I may skip the rest of their books and just go straight into the ones that follow the other siblings, but I don't know how much that would be feasible. I don't know how much of the story will get lost if I do that, so let me know if I do that, if that's going to be a problem. But I didn't hate the book, but I'm not like itching to continue it because I read Addicted to You like last spring and I haven't read any of the other books since then. So gonna continue just reading them on Kindle Unlimited. Another one that I started last spring, I want to say in the same vlog that I read Addicted to You, was the Eden series by Devney Perry. And this is like romance meets mystery. And it's about the small town and this Eden family who like basically runs the town. And the first one was Indigo Ridge. That's the one I read. And then from there on out, we have Juniper Hill, Garnet Flats, Jasper Vale, Crimson River, and Sable Peak. So I don't know who the rest of the books are about. The first one was okay. It was like a 3-star read, I think, for me. I didn't love it. But again, it was another easy, quick read. So it may be one that I go back to when I just kind of don't know what to read and I need something to kickstart me that's I know is going to be a quick, easy read. But we'll see. And the final series is another one that I just started this year, and that is the Beyond the Play. And these are by Grace Riley. I have read First Down, I have Breakaway, and then I have Stealing Home. Yeah, Stealing Home, and then Wicked Serve just came out. So this is about the siblings, the Wood siblings. So the first one is about Beckett, who's the oldest son, and he is a football player bound for the NFL. He's a quarterback. And he meets this girl at a party. They have a really funny meet cute in this one. And there are definitely deeper topics that are discussed in this too. But I enjoyed this. I just recently read it. It was a quick, fun sports romance read. Breakaway is about his brother who plays hockey for they all go to the same university. The third one is Stealing Home. It's a baseball romance. And that is their adopted brother, who I think is like the same age as the second brother. And then the fourth one is about their sister who plays volleyball, and based on the cover, it looks like the love interest is a hockey player. But we'll see. I love a good sports romance. You're never gonna like convince me to not give it a try. Unless, you probably could. But it'd be very hard to convince me not to read a sports romance because, especially college and like right into where they're getting into their careers, I like those. High school, not so much. So that's it. That's the 45 series that I am somehow in the middle of right now. I hope to get through quite a few of these this year. I have 17 series that I own at least the first book in that I haven't even started yet. So I'm going to try my best to hold off. I already know what my February TBR is going to be, and let me tell you, there's like 8 more that I'm starting in February. Mistakes were made, but we're here. So it's going to be a rough one. I'm going to track how many, like I said, I started with 41 at the beginning of the year. We'll see how many I'm reading at the end of the year. And I am tracking this in my reading journal too, so you will kind of see a little bit of that every month when I do my resets. So thank you so much if you sat here through this long-winded yappy video. I appreciate your time, and let me know if you've read any of these series, if you're reading any of these series, what your thoughts are, which ones I should prioritize on the ones that I can. Obviously, I'd be prioritizing some of the other ones if I could, but of the 13 that I just finished with, which one should I prioritize getting to first? Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.